Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Haemmerle, the founder of the Instant Start Academy, and I'm so excited that you get to spend the next few minutes with me to talk about what you have in common with Elon Musk. Now, Elon Musk, I'm sure many of you have heard his name. In fact, I'm sure many of you know what he's out there doing right now with his companies, Tesla, SpaceX, and Solar City. And I decided to call the webinar today, which is a training webinar for you, what do you have in common with Elon Musk? Because right now he's what I would call a global trailblazer, which is very important that we have these trailblazers in our world. The trailblazers are the people who go into fields and areas where have been uncharted territory. People say it can't be done, and yet they make it happen. And more importantly, they pave a way, a trail for others to follow. So thus, I really wanted today's discussion to be about what you actually have in common with Elon Musk. So it's a combination of questions you can ask me, and we can have a bit of a conversation, as well as I have some questions that I'm going to ask you. So I'm going to ask you to have a handy pen and as well as some paper so you can take some notes, and most importantly, get your mind thinking about how you can really start to ignite your creativity and also get in line to what your purpose and your mission is here. Now, one of the things that I really wanted to talk about in this conversation with you is I see a lot of people doing a lot of marketing and developing things, but what's beginning to happen is that it becomes an overwhelm of purposeful intention. And over the past few months, I'm having many conversations with people going, I feel like I'm spinning my wheels. I feel that I'm not really clear in my direction. And I think this happens when we get caught up in a school of fish of what everyone else is doing. And so what I want everyone to do, if we can for this next hour, is to really take a step back and look at what you're currently doing that is going to allow your business to really become purposeful and obviously get a very clear mission that is not only able to provide for you, but to be able to provide for many people who you may never actually have the opportunity to meet face to face, but whose impact and influence you will have blazed a trail for them to follow. So with that in mind, I've got some quotes from Elon Musk. I highly suggest you watch the videos that are bountiful on YouTube about him and watch his interviews. And most importantly, really look at the mindset of what this man is currently doing and the obstacles that he has that he is currently experiencing, the obstacles that he has overcome, and most importantly, his attitude about what he believes what we need to do to be able to really make a difference, not only in our lifetime but in lifetimes to come. So we're in the year 2015 right now, and with that in mind, you know, I was thinking about 100 years ago, and you know, we were past the break of the Industrial Revolution, and I know that for many of you, you're quite aware we're already in the midst of we're past the information age now. We're on now a moment of exploration of how different worlds are now collaborating together and igniting, I want to believe, and I'm hoping to believe, a collaboration of creativity as well as possibility based on all this information that is currently at our fingertips, currently on our phones and on our computers, that we have always information at our fingertips, but the question is, what are we doing with it? So when you're building your businesses and you've got your products and your programs you're developing, you can, I'm wondering if you're getting perhaps sometimes a bit overwhelmed by all the things you can be doing, but are you also clear on really what your mission is and what your purpose is of what you're creating, so that when it becomes challenging and that 99% of perspiration, what's going to keep you going? So today what I've done is I've created a bit of a training for you. And as I said, please get your paper and your pens ready. And I'm going to get right into some questions that I really need you to answer. And also, I am going to be able to hear any questions that you believe are going to be of value to one another. If you want to go ahead and just type in any of the questions that you might have, please feel free to type in questions and comments, and I'll be able to read them. Terrific. All right, so with that in mind, let's begin and get into question time and getting your mind focusing on what makes you, what do you have in common with Elon Musk? So Elon Musk, when he began, he said, he was going from PayPal and he thought, well, what are some of the other problems that are likely to most affect the future of humanity? Not from the perspective of what's the best way to make money, which is okay, but it was really, what do I think is going to most affect the future of humanity? What a wonderful question for you to ask. Now, you might take what's the future of our environment, you might say the future of the universe, but really, what is your impact in this short little time frame that you're here? What is your impact in a positive intention? What is it going to make a difference in the future of humanity? And at the time when he posed that question, he realized, he thought, well, definitely, we need to be looking at something other than the fossil fuels. Need to look at perhaps some, if we do affect this planet so it's unlivable, how we can live in multi-planetary environments, and within the fossil fuels, realizing that we have the major resource of the sun. So with that, when he sold PayPal, and he took the money, and he was very well off, a $1.5 billion sale. And he started SpaceX, which is his space travel, advancing rocket technology. And the reason he was so excited about this, but also part of the reason of this mission for him was that he realized that space travel was dead after the end of any of the Challenger and all of these things. He said, well, what happened to going beyond the moon? He thought by the time he was an adult that they would have men on Mars already, and that didn't happen. So he ignited that. Then he got into Tesla, which is the electric car, which is very, very exciting for all of us, and as well as Solar City, where he's the chairman. Okay, so with that, what I want to do is ask you some questions, and most importantly, I'm going to ask you, how are you going to make sure that you stand out in your audience? How are you going to stand out in the crowd? There are so many coaches and trainers and people out there right now flooding the market, and it's only going to grow. There's so much information out right now flooding the market, and it's almost as if you could feel that you're a fish in a school of fish, and it feels all cozy in the school of fish. Everyone seems to be moving in this direction. The thing is then how do you stand out amongst all those schools of fish? What will allow you to venture out on the boundaries to say, okay, I need to stand out. I need to maybe go down into a different body of water where I can make an impact. And I think it's really important that you ask yourself that, why now it's important for you to start to stand out. And part of the reason, I'm going to say my belief around this is because when we become quite saturated in the marketplace, it's going to be those individuals that do stand out and step up and that begin to do a shift in what the potential is of what you're doing. And I'm speaking to those of you who are trainers, coaches, and speakers who are on the call today particularly. How are you going to stand out and have a message that is different, and or a message and or a product or a service or a program that is not a replication of what has been developed over the last 40, 50 years? What is it that you believe that if it did exist, would already be a shift? You would already begin to blaze a trail in a new way of a possibility, opportunity, education, information, collaboration. That's something that didn't exist before you put it into this world. Okay, and I know for many of you, you have ideas of this, and so what I wanted to do today was to assist you with some questions that'll help to ignite that and give you even more clarity. And I also wanted to speak about the difference between the needs and the wants that you might have. And I think it's very important to discuss the differences between the two, because this is what will drive you in your mission to persevere when it gets challenging, when you may feel exhausted, when you may feel there's a feeling of is this ever going to work out? Okay, and maybe you may feel that you're losing focus, but it's very important to understand the distinctions between those needs and those wants. So things that we want, perhaps you might want to have stronger relationships, you might want to earn more money, you might want better health. The wants in our life are actually not what drive us. Our wants are what are great to have, but they're not necessarily the necessities of what we'll have, what will actualize us through these challenging times. What I want to talk about is what your needs are, and also what we as a human race and we as a planetary species and the animals and the environment, what it actually needs. And the needs become instinctive, and then they also become a must for you to make happening. So what I want to talk to you is, when you're looking at your business and your products and your programs that you have, is it something that you think people really want, or is it something that you believe they actually need? That if they don't have this, that their life conditions will not be improved? Is it something that is great to have, nice to have, but you know what? Do they really, really need it? If it's a no, then I want you to sit there and question, do you need to create more stuff? Or are you going to create a program, a product, a service that will be so vital, that will bring vitality, life force, energy, and growth, that when someone has this in their world, it then supplies an absolute need, not only for them, but for their family, their community, and the world at large. So I really want you to be thinking at a very big level here. But when you're creating your programs and your products, really be very aware of, am I creating a want, a nice to have, or am I creating something that people really, really need? So with that then, we're going to get into some questions that I want you to answer. So have your pen and paper ready. And I want you to remember that, Elon was not afraid of failing whatsoever. In fact, he expected to fail when he was starting all of his businesses. The failure was completely present for him. It was not about the failing. It was about the learning and the moving through and the feedback that he was getting. And as he said, when something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. So let us get into the questions. And remember, the quality of the questions that you ask will equal the quality of your results. So the first question I want you to ask, and this will really guide you to know when you're giving meaning into what it is that you're creating currently in your business, okay, currently in your life. And what I wanted to ask you is about 3 significant events that have changed your life. 3 specific significant events that have changed your life. That as a result of these events, they've changed your direction and they've changed your focus. They've been those, what we call fork in the road moments in your life, which had they not happened, you would be in a very different position than you are right now. And I was thinking about, with a lot of the coaches and trainers that I work with, we find, the questions of how did you come to become a coach or a trainer or a speaker? And you'll find that each one of us has had a moment, defining moments in our life that have brought us to this place right now where there's a purposeful intention about what we do. And I was thinking about the 3 significant events that have changed my life. And one of them was 21 years old and moving from Virginia to Austria at the age of 21, not knowing the language, having $2,000 in my pocket, but knowing that I had to go there to train with a teacher who everyone said was at the conservatory was the best teacher that you could study with, studying opera and voice. So I saved all of my money. I had $2,000, and I got on the plane, not knowing the language, and landed there. And it was the most life-changing experience living there wholeheartedly because of that teacher that opened the door for me of the voice and expression and the meaning behind the music and being able to really express that to audiences. So that was a significant event in my life that really shifted what I knew I was capable of doing, moving to a country where I lived for 5 years into where I became fluent in the language and everything changed, doors opened because of the environment change, and all because I chose to follow that teacher. The second was when I met my husband, Thomas, and he came and he found me again right before my 30th birthday. And I said yes to marrying him just before my 30th birthday. And I moved to Australia, again, thinking I was moving to tropical Queensland, but I moved to Sydney. Obviously knew the language, but I didn't really have an idea about the environment I was moving into. We didn't have computers at that time. Well, we did have computers, but not doing what they're doing today. And so I didn't really research it. I just knew that I was following love. And that significant event changed my life dramatically in the whole course of my life, because I took that risk. I went to a new environment and I followed my heart through and through. And then the event that happened thereafter was the birth of our first daughter, our daughter Rihanna, and that changed my life again, where again, completely unknown, pure love, and at that moment, everything changed in my life. So what I'd like you to do is, as you think about your significant events that have changed your life, write down what is fundamentally similar in each of these events. What decision did you make? So question number 2, what did you learn from each of these events? What positive meanings did you give from each of these events? And also, what negative meanings did you give to each of these events? Positive meanings, so what was a positive thing you learned about yourself and your ability to adapt and adopt, but also what did you learn about yourself that you were not maybe as easily adaptable and adoptable to the new environment as you thought you were? What challenges did you have, and what meanings did you give that? Did you retract or did you expand? And now the third question I want you to ask yourself is, as a result of those 3 events, what was the decision you made at each event that then defined your character and your direction? What decision did you make as a result of each of those events that really defined the direction you would take? Because our decisions we're making on a day-to-day basis are actually defining who we become moment by moment. Our decisions we make are really our reticular activation system, our RAS system. It's always focusing on what's important to us in our world. And when we make a decision based on experience, our reticular activation system has an opportunity to reprogram what becomes important to us. So that at that moment, it's a reprogramming, if you want to say a restart button that can happen as a result of these significant events in our life that change the trajectory of where we're heading. And in that, those decisions you make then become your mission in your life, because you feel comfortable and or present to what do you need to do to be able to have that experience again and to make that experience have even more meaning for you. So if you think about the decision you made at each of those events, the decision I made when I went 21 was that I realized that I was highly adaptable and really that I can connect and communicate with people very, very well. It's become a strength of mine. No matter where I go, if I don't understand the language, there's always another way to communicate and connect and to create a situation, an optimal situation around where I go. The decision I made when I moved here to Australia and married Thomas, to be with Thomas, was an absolute decision to be fully committed to our relationship and to have a vision and a mission to create an extraordinary life together. And the decision I made as a mother when Rihanna was born was to be able to open up so many doors and possibilities, so she could really, when I saw this little bundle in my arms, that her soul, that I would do everything I could possibly do to make sure that her soul was always awakened, and that she was here to do and open the doors for what she is really here to do. And so to really keep that potential fully alight. And I made that promise to her when I first held her. So these are decisions, and now 20 years on, the marriage is now, we're 20 years together now. Rihanna's 18. And all of these decisions, we're seeing now the fruits of these decisions that have changed the course. So I'm going to ask you, what decision did you make as a result of these three events that have really changed the course of the direction of your life? And question number 4, as I'd like you to look at your current situation in your life, in your business, in your life, and I want you to really track yourself on a scale of 0 to 10. How are you tracking on where you expected your life to be right now, whatever age you are today? Where are you tracking right now? What would you give yourself on a scale of 0 to 10 today, right now in your life? You know, you're a 10 plus, you know, a 10 out of 10 in your life. Or are you feeling your life is around a 4, a 5, 6? It doesn't matter where you're tracking. It just is important for you to have a realistic guidepost to say, okay, this is where I am. And my expectation, what I expected my life to be, where I expected to be in my position in my life, what I expected my impact to be currently in my life, what I expected my influence in my life to, yes, what I expected, my expectation of what meaning my life has currently. So give yourself a scale of 0 to 10 of where you are right now. Question number 5 that I want to ask you is, it comes from my principal of my high school. I remember when I was student body president, he brought me in one day and he said, Alice, I need to ask you a question. And this question, the way that you answer it will very much define perhaps your influence in the world. He said, do you want to be a big fish or a little fish? And I said to Mr. Benesky, I said, I'll explain this a bit further, sir. And he said, well, do you want to be a big fish in a little pond in your life, or do you want to be a little fish in a big pond? He goes, when you decide which one you're wanting to be, that will make all the difference in the impact you're here to make. So he said, if you're a big fish in a little pond, then there's a responsibility you have to be able to ensure that everyone in the pond, that everything in the pond has a sustainable and ecological is taken care of. But you might find that you might outgrow the pond. So then you need to be comfortable to move to a bigger body of water. And how would you be about that? Okay. He said, if you're a little fish in a big pond, how are you going to contribute to everything within that ecosystem, that will add value to the entire ecosystem? And you'll be okay not having to necessarily take the risk, but you're going to ensure that that the sustainability of this pond, the sustainability of all the environment is stronger. And he said, it's okay whichever one you choose, but you need to know that you can't be both. You're either going to be a big fish in a little pond, or you're going to be a little fish in a big pond. So I'm going to ask you on the call today, which one are you? Are you a big fish in a little pond, or are you a little fish in a big pond? Currently in your business, in your market, are you really a big fish in a little pond, or are you a little fish in a big pond? When you answer that question, then it'll be very, very clear what you need to do for to develop your business, your product, your service, because then it'll be very clear what your market is actually looking for from you, and then you become aligned to that. Question number 6 then is, I'd like you to ask yourself a time in your life when you were very, very motivated in your career. A time in your life when you were very, very motivated in your career. A time when you got out of bed and you didn't look at the clock and go, oh, it's another day. Instead, you got up before the alarm and you were very, very focused and you were very productive and you got things done. And what was happening? If you've never had that in your career, then think about a time in your life when you felt really, really motivated. And what was happening? Were you working with groups of people? Were you working on your own? Or were you leading people? Were you working on, if you were working on your own, were you working on something for somebody else? Were you working, if you're working within a group of people, were you working on something for people that would improve the lives of people? Or were you working on something? Did you have a product that you were all collaborating with to bring to life or to improve or to deliver? If you're working on your own, were you working on a project? Or were you working on a system to improve how something ran, how improving the system of something, whether it may be an IT system, or maybe you were working in some form of a business structure and you were improving the systems inside a business or a company just to ensure that everything flowed really, really well? Or were you working on your own and working on a system to improve the system and how it runs? The answer to the question will allow you then to know what is it that you actually need to produce. So if what motivated you was working on your own, then write down the word independent. And if a time when you were really motivated and you were really motivated by the people with you, then write down team. And if you were really motivated by leading, then write down leader. And if you were really motivated by the people you were working with, and yep, the people, and energized by those people, then write down people. If you were really motivated by the thing or the project or the product you were working on, then write down thing. And then if you were really, really motivated by the system, the process, then please write down the word system. The answer to this question will give you such clarity in what you're actually here to do. It'll take the guesswork out of why do you sometimes feel energized about something and why do you sometimes not. And I really think it's an important question for you to answer, because sometimes when we look at what everyone is doing out there in the marketplace, we think, oh, why is this so hard for me? Or why am I not enjoying this? And it's because it's not in line to what drives you. So this question will help you design your product, your service, or your program. Okay, so if you are an independent and you are very energized by the people, then I'm going to ask you to create a program, a product, or a service where you know that you are going to be able to have a one-on-one experience with somebody, a one-on-one interactive experience with somebody. So one-on-one coaching, maybe one to a small group of people in some form of workshops or trainings. And for you, that'll motivate you as long as it's an intimate, individual, and you are autonomously be able to work on your own. If it's teams, then you're going to be motivated. If it's around people, you're going to be motivated in really collaborating with other people in your industry to create something for people. Okay, it might be trainings, it might be experiences, but the collaboration with other people is what's going to really energize you. And you're happy to take the lead if you need to, but not necessarily. You're happy just to be part of the entire team and be part of something. And if leadership, if that is the one within people, then that's what you're going to need to do. You're going to need to be able to find a way of where you can actually lead groups of people, not only in your work, but also in your business. So with your product and your service, that you can be in the front and show people where to go and guide them and lead them. But also within your business, you're also going to need to be the leader inside your business. If it's around things and it's an independent, then you're going to need to have a project that you work on, whether it's a book that you need to write, and that book will be the project that you work on. That will give you energy. So you might become a writer, and that project then gives you meaning. Okay? If you're independent, and if you're a team and it's a project, then you're going to need to work on a project with a group of people that will give meaning to your life. And if it's a thing and you're a team, and you're a leader, then you need to have a mission that you're bringing multiple people, many, many people on board with you on this mission, on this vision that you have. Otherwise, you're going to get completely demotivated in the work that you do. And if you're a systems person and you're independent, then you're going to be fantastic working and helping people, an individual one-on-one, helping people perhaps with their marketing, or helping people develop their websites, or helping them within a system inside their business. And that's going to drive you, as long as you can get that individual, personalized attention with your customer, with your clients. If you are a team and it's systems, then you're going to need to be able to go into companies and really drive the systems and work with an entire team of people to be able to work together to create and improve the systems. And if you're a leader of systems, that you're going to be able to go and improve and actually create a system that's never existed before. All right. And that's very much where Elon Musk sits. He actually sits as a leader of systems. And that's his focus, because he can sit there and improve the system, tweak the system, and he gets other people to also tweak and improve the system. But his vision and his mission is so very, very strong and clear, and it doesn't deviate. His mission and his vision have never deviated from the moment he began Tesla, from the moment he began SpaceX, and from the moment with Solar City. His vision and his mission have been absolute and very, very clear. Terrific. So those are the 6 questions. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to some questions that you might have. Wonderful. Good. So I've got some messages that people are still seeing some of the deck. Thank you, everybody. Cool. Good. Now, thank you. So some of the comments coming through. To stand out, my focus is authenticity and bulking and building your tribe through connection, utilizing video, social media networking, and public speaking at as many events as I possibly can. That's fantastic. And so I'm going to ask you then, what does authentic mean? And how will we know then that we are being authentic? What will be the evidence of this authenticity? Fantastic. Another question is, what happens when there's a collaboration of all 3? So when it's a collaboration of all 3, then I'm going to suggest that systems are where you feel the most comfortable working within the systems. Terrific. Good. Please keep your questions coming through. Good. Hello, everyone. It's fantastic. A great turnout today. Thank you. Good, good, good. All right, so let's keep going with some of the questions and some of the comments that are coming through. And I'm going to figure out what happened to those slides. My apologies. Let's see what's going on with those slides. And hopefully you're seeing. Cool. All right, so within your unique program and your product that you have, I'm going to ask you, how do you want to share it with your world? How will you know that your program, your product has made an impact? And the question on this might be, the answer to this question might be, how many people do you want to impact? So you might say, I want to impact 1 million people or 100,000 people. Or you might say, it's not the number, but it's the demographic that I want to impact. Or you might say, it's not the demographic I want to impact, it's a system that I want to have an impact in changing. Maybe it's the education system, or maybe it's the family unit, or maybe it is women or children or teenagers. Okay, so it might be a group that you want to impact. So how will you know that it's been impactful? And I really want you to write down a tangible evidence that you know that that's been made. And you all are still seeing my slides like that. That is really not cool. Let's see what's going on here. Let's try that. No. Interesting. Let's try this again. I can see what you're seeing. There we go. You're still seeing individual slides. Thank you. Da-da-da. Working on this one. Just a moment, everybody. Cool. Cool. Great. Great. I've got a question here. Could you please repeat the leader thing and the team people? Absolutely. Okay. So if you're, as an individual, so if you're looking at how you're really motivated, if you're motivated by leading people, then what you need to have is you need to have a project that you're working on, a specific thing that you're working on. So let us take, we'll take Elon. His thing that they're working on was the rocket ship. Okay, to get the rocket ship. So that was the thing that they all worked on. Okay, and if it was people, then the people would need to come together as a movement. Okay, and the thing they would be working on is the movement. So the civil rights movement was a group of people coming together, and it became a movement. Right. Great. Terrific. Question here from Greg. What was your answer to being a big fish in a small pond, or a small fish in a big pond, and how do you now see yourself? Right. So if you look at yourself as a big fish in a small pond, and what will happen is if you say, okay, I'm a big fish in a small pond, I'm going to go with that, which means at that moment there is a risk that you can actually outgrow your pond. So what you need to say is, are you committed to changing the size of the body of water? And once you change the size of the body of water, there'll be other big fish in there with you. So you're going to have to know how to get to find new food. You're going to have to know where the other predators are. But the benefit of that is you can have a greater reach, okay? A greater reach, but there's also greater risk. All right. If it's a question, if you want to be a small fish in a big pond, then what you can say is that, how are you, as one of those small fish, contributing to the greater good of all of the school of fish, okay? How are you creating to the greater good of all the fish? And in many ways, all of us are small fish in this big pond, okay? But you might say to yourself, okay, I want to make sure that I'm really contributing to the value of what I do. So if we take coaching, for instance, if there are multiple coaches, you know, hundreds and actually thousands of coaches being trained every year, we could almost see that many of us are small fish in this very big pond. But when one small fish doesn't do well or take care of how they deliver their coaching, their training, or their speaking, what they do is they can actually endanger the ecology of the environment of all the other fish. So in that, being a small fish in that big pond, you have a duty of care to take care of the quality of what you do as one of those small fish. The other benefit is, is actually improves the quality and lifts the standards of the whole profession. But if you as a small fish, you don't care about that, you're looking at how you don't care about the other fish, what you can become is you can become a germ to the other fish. But instead, if you can say, you know what, I'm happy to be a small fish in this school of big fish and lift the standards of this school of fish, what you do then is you actually put coaching, training, speaking on a whole nother level. It becomes highly in demand. But I hope that answers your question. All right. Great. Question around question number 4 is the total. So if you look at your life from a scale of 0 to 10, would you split this between your life, your business? Yes, you could do that wheel of life, but I'm going to ask you as a whole, if you look at your life, I'm going to do a general question. Look at your life today, right now, today, on this moment, on a scale of 0 to 10, how are you really doing? I think sometimes if we sit there and we can split it all up, I'd like you to give a generalist statement, because the components all make your whole life. And we can look at an area of your life and say, if I improve that area of my life, will that improve every area? But I'd like you to look at your whole life right now. The sum total of the meaning you're giving your life right now on a scale of 0 to 10. Is it meeting your expectation? Terrific. Great. Okay, now I'm going to keep going through some of the questions. That's all right with everyone. Great. Okay, thank you. Just making sure there's any other questions or comments coming through. Yes, yes, yes. Good, good. Fantastic. Thank you. Marvelous. All right. Okay, so those times. Oops. Go back again. Apologize. I'll just get that slide just working a bit better here. There we go. Okay, so the 6 questions. The 7th question, your unique program or product. So what I want to focus on then is what is your immediate focus you need to take right now based on your personal productivity, what is unique to you. Not as what is unique to other people, what is going to get you going, what is going to get you moving right now so that you feel that you can move forward in developing and being on your mission that you're doing, staying on track. Okay, so step 1 is, and you've heard me say this many times, you need to start with the end in mind. What will you see, what will you hear, what will you feel, taste, and smell when your program, your product, your service is successful? What will you see, what will you hear, what will you feel, taste, and smell when your program, your product, your service is successful? This is the most important question. And I see so many people missing this question, just going and starting working. Sitting as if this is a tangible evidence. What's the prototype of what you've created that when you have it in your hands, when it is in the marketplace, when you have made this impact, when the mission is accomplished, what will be different in this world as a result? What will be different with the people that you're working with? What will be present that is not currently present? What will be present that is not currently present? And how will you know? What will you be seeing in the environment that is changed and or shifted? What communication will you be hearing? What won't you be hearing anymore? What will you be hearing? What will be the feeling in the air? What will be the feeling amongst people? What will be the feeling that you feel inside of you? What will you be tasting? What will be the smell? When your program, your product, your service is successful. Question 2 then, the next step is based on your unique strategy that you run to be able to focus on your outcomes. Okay? For some of you, you'll need to define the first step. And for others, you need to define the second to last step, which is what you need to do. After you've got that end in mind, what's that next thing you need to do? If you're a big picture person, if you're a person who needs to know why you need to do something, then what I'm going to ask you to do is to focus on the very last thing that has to happen for you to know that your mission, your product, your program, your service is successful, your evidence. And then I want you to work your way backwards. So what happened just before that it was successful? And what happened before that? So what you do is you go based on your timeline, you start into the future and you work your way backwards. You do what's called the Merlin method. You work in the future and you work your way backwards, but you've got to work from the outcome, result, and then what happened just before that you knew it was successful. And this is for a big picture person. If you're a detailed person and you want to know how things work, then I want you to start with the very first step that you need to do. So you've got your outcome. Then you need to ask yourself, okay, so what's the very first thing I need to do? And then you're going to go step by step, and you can go day by day, month by month, until you actualize the successful completion of your program, your product, or your service. Okay? So very important that you do it in this direction. If you're a detailed person and you go all the way out to the future and you work backwards, you will get overwhelmed. You will get overwhelmed because that is not how your your strategies that you're currently running. You want to know the first steps. How do I do it? And what's the very first action step I need to take? And then what's the very next thing? So you're really just looking maybe just a couple steps ahead. Then you look up and go, okay, I'm on track. Okay, so you want those guideposts on the walking track. If you're a big picture person, if you get the first steps, it'll demotivate you. You want to work your way backwards so that way you're looking far ahead enough so that keeps you motivated because you're looking forward to what's to come. And you can get demotivated if you're just taking small steps, okay? You want to be seeing that big why you're working for what you're working. Even though it may be far off in the future, that will be what motivates you, okay? Very important that whoever is on the call right now, that you really define if you're a big picture person or that detailed person. Let me just go off the call here for a moment so everyone sees that. Okay? Terrific. Great. Good. Great, and I'm getting some responses here as well. Thank you, so everybody. Good. So the pictures are coming up easier. What's very important to understand too is no matter where you are in your life right now. So some people are saying, okay, I'm a 7. Wherever you are right now, fantastic. It means you're moving forward, okay? It's when your numbers are 3, 4 that we need to take some massive action, okay? You're feeling very unfulfilled right now. And that's because you haven't been listening to what your mission is, okay? If you're at a 7, you're moving forward on your mission. Okay. Okay, so we've got our steps. We've got start with the end in mind. We've got define the first and second last step. Third, we got to find an ideal action structure. For you to be truly productive, we got to get your ideal action. You got to become an action figure here, okay? You got to say, where are you going to get your burst of energy where you can be most productive? If you're a person, and this is based on what you're convinced your strategy is, if you're convinced that you need a period of time before you know you can do something, then you're going to need a period of time of action to get work done. If you're a person who's a 1, 2, or 3 time convincer, you need to do something once, then you know you can do it. Or you do something a couple times and you know you can do it, or 3 times, then I'm going to ask you to do short bursts of time. Short bursts of time is putting your phone on a timer, and you're going to do short bursts of focused attention to work on a specific project, a specific aspect of your product, your program, your service, and you're going to work in 20 to 45 minutes. Even if you're doing coaching, you're going to be wanting to work with your clients in 20 to 45 minute bursts. Anything longer, you're going to get de-energized. Okay, if you're going to run programs and your short bursts, you want them to be very action-packed. You want to get right to it from the beginning. If you're a period of time person, then you're going to need to block out 2 to 3 hours to be able to work with your clients, to be able to deliver some workshops. 2 to 3 hours is what you're going to need to be able to deliver what you need to deliver. A period of time is also what you're going to need to be able to focus with focused attention to get a chapter written in a book, to write a blog, that period of time. And for some of you, that these bursts of time to get things done in creativity will be first thing in the morning, before anyone really needs you, okay? Before 10 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning. You really get focused attention. And this is where you'll find these bursts, okay? So you just need to know, do you need short bursts? Or you need a period of time burst. And whatever it is for you, it's perfect. And lastly, in order for you to get going, you need to be able to be open to a feedback loop. Okay, in the mentoring program that I run, one of the most important things is the ability, when I accept people into the program with me, the most important thing I'm looking for is their ability to take feedback. It's not criticism, it's feedback. And the feedback is vital. Do they take the feedback, expand on it, learn from it, appreciate it, and then action it? Because if you can't take feedback, then what you've got is a fixed mindset. You take feedback and you learn, you ask some questions about it, and you action it. Your mind is then growing and expanding. So it's vital for you, whatever you're doing, to make sure, if you're a coach, a trainer, speaker, you need to be taking regular feedback. That's the way, we're in the growth industry. Ultimately, we're in the growth industry. And so your ability to be able to say what worked, what didn't work, and ensure you keep focusing on continual improvements Keep modeling the excellence of physiology and psychology of excellence. Be open. Make sure you've got someone who's giving you feedback, being really honest with you, being really honest with you about how you're delivering, being really honest with you on how you're coaching, not waiting for your client to tell you how you're doing. You should be having some professionals telling you, you know what, if you tweak this here and here, or you know what, that didn't nail it, or that did nail it, and then you know why you nailed it, yeah, or you know why you didn't. And so those feedback loops allow you continually to calibrate and improve the quality of what you're doing. So any questions or comments on that? Coming back? Good. You can see the slides as a whole now. Yay! Cool. All right. So post some questions and comments on that last segment there. Any questions you might have? Terrific. Right. All right. Good, good. Now I'm getting a question from a couple of people. What's this mentoring program? Okay, I'll just talk about that briefly. Yeah. What is the mentoring? Good, good. Good. Okay, any questions about the steps that you need to take? If you're not getting results, I'm going to ask you, are you really following those 4 steps? Do you start your day with the end in mind? Are you really clear on having a very clearly formed outcome? You know, for those of you trained in NLP, you need to go to your keys to achievable outcome. You need to make sure your outcomes are very well formed. You need to ensure you've got your outcome clearly defined, because what that does from a neurological and also a future pace, it creates an internal representation in your mind. It creates that internal representation that you hold absolutely into your visual construct. And that visual construct is, you know, you're seeing your future and seeing yourself achieving this. And the more that image is really strong, you now move toward that outcome. Cool. Good. So we said this creates a lot of clarity. You're definitely a people person. Wonderful. Yeah. Great. Which means what you need to be able to do to be able to really energize, people are waiting to get information from you. People are waiting for you to connect with them. And actually you're waiting to connect with them as well. So your programs, your products, your services that you provide need to have always that human touch to them. And if they don't have that, you're going to feel de-energized. You're not going to be on your mission. You will not feel fulfilled in what you're doing. Okay? And from that, then you can do your marketing, and then you can do your message. But you need to say, okay, what fulfills you, what energizes you, so that no one ever needs to say to you, how you doing? You're actually living your purpose and your mission, because you know, based on your key moments in your life that have changed your direction, based on your filters of what motivates you, then you're on track to achieving. And then nobody ever thinks you're crazy, because you're not. Yeah, I'm crazy in love with what I'm doing. I have to do this. This is a must for you. Great. Pleasure. Great. I've got great distinctions with the big picture and the detailed person strategies. Pleasure. It just takes all the guesswork, you know, because there's so much information out there, and often what you're getting is somebody else's map of how they get things done. And then you start to do it and you go, why isn't this not working for me? And it's not working for you because it isn't you. And as much as you want to put that square peg in that round hole, it ain't gonna fit. It ain't gonna fit. There's no way. So you got to make sure whatever you're doing is a match to you. Okay, and then what happens is you get into flow. And that's why I ask you, those 3 pivotal moments in your life, change the flow, change the way that you moved in your direction, change the way that you moved as a fish in water. You changed your entire environment. You changed your world because of those 3 different experiences in your life. Wonderful. Okay, good. So finally, I've got some time for a bit of Q&A. And I just wanted to say what you have in common with Elon Musk, all of you do, is, I'll come back to it. Oops. There we go. what you have in common with Elon Musk, and each of you does, is this, is that each of you has in you the desire to do good, the desire to, I'll say it again, make the world a better place. I totally appreciate this. But what's vital is that you can do that. We don't have to look at someone like Elon Musk and say, oh, but he's Elon Musk. You have a purpose and a mission in you, and you have a need that you need to fulfill. Don't make it a want. I want to do this. Find what really drives you. What do you need to do? Yeah. What is that you need to do? When you end your life, you've met a need that without you being here would never have been met. And that will give you your mission and your purpose. Yeah, good. There's more comments coming through. Hold on. Yeah. There's a comment there. I just can't quite read it all. Here we go. It's lovely to see so many of you again. Lovely to see you on the call. I recognize many names, some brand new names. Welcome. Fantastic. Great. And for those of you, I do have some questions coming through. Yeah. So the mentoring program is alive and doing beautifully well. There's I have room for just less than a handful of people to come into the program. So if you are interested in applying to the mentoring program with me, it's a program where I am your mentor. We have mastercraft sessions. We get together every few months and we do what's called a lab, which is a creative connection. So we come together for 4 days and we do what's called a mentoring lab. And it's really experimentative. I bring in specialists in different fields where we can learn and grow from. It is an opportunity for, I'm very particular who's in the mentoring program. I'm looking for people who are highly driven, who take feedback really well, who have a business, whether it's a coaching, training, and or speaking business, or all three combined, and they're really wanting a mentor to really push them to another level, to work on skills. Most importantly, I'm working on your skills more than anything. There are 3 components to the mentoring program, which are attract, retain, and expand, so that you are how to attract, who do you need to be to attract. We do focus on marketing, but it's not a marketing program. There's marketing in the program, but that's not the main focus. But who do you need to be? What do you need to be doing? How do you need to be improving your coaching, training, and speaking, which is the retaining, okay, so that you're adding incredible value to your clients and to your audience. And then finally, how do we now expand you into new markets, into new environments, into bigger ponds, or to improving the environments that you have already. So those are the program. If you're interested in applying to the program, it's an application process only. All you need to do is go to mentoring, instantinsightacademy.com, and there's an application form there. Also gives you some more, I'll type in the address here, mentoring.instantinsightacademy.com. As I said, there are a few places available, less than a handful. I've got a lot of applications early in the year. I said no to 40% of the applications. I'm very particular who's in the group. Okay, we have a very, very, very connected group. A lot of diversity in the group of executive coaches and people working with kids and people working environmentally as well. So a nice diversity of professional coaches, trainers, and speakers. Great. Yeah. So please go ahead and, if you're interested, just fill out the form, fill out the application form, and it also gives you the structure of the mentoring program. Okay, so I'd love to see a few of you. I know I can see some names here, so I'd be very open and excited if you would apply. All right. Okay, there's a question here. I can't distinguish between people and leader. When I was motivated at work, I was solely responsible for an account worth $30 million. I worked really closely with the key players in the account and also within the company I worked in. And you grew the account by 15% in 1 year. Okay, good. So you are very much, I'm going to ask a question. Were you leading a group of people, or were you fully responsible for the results? I mean, you might have had people around you that you could asked to get some work done, but was it a collaborative whole group and you had to lead people with a mission? That's what I'd like to answer. If you were leading people with a mission, then I know that you need to be in a leadership role. If you were an individual and you were able to have people help you with administrative, then I'm going to suggest you are much more of an independent player, but you need to have a support team around you for you to be able to go do what you need to do. Good. And within the account, if the account for you was all about making sure the people in the account were really happy, then you're a people person. Otherwise, the account could be a thing that you want to make sure that the account is a tangible thing in your mind. Okay, so you want to improve the account. So that means what's important to you is that you have a thing that you can work on. Cool. Okay, so you've got two answers here. So is that leading or people? There's two different things. You're either leading or you're independent, okay? Or you're either people, you're leading the people, or you're leading people toward a project, okay? Cool. Thank you. Does that answer your question there? Fantastic. Great. Great. I want to thank all of you for being on the call today. I'm going to be running a series every month, and I'm also starting a podcast called Global Trailblazers Podcast, where I'll be interviewing trailblazers in multiple industries, from business, environment, performing arts, and the trailblazers from around the world who are making an impact. I'll also be doing podcasts about trailblazers who've passed and no longer are with us. You'll be getting there'll be a big announcement about that. This is very much what I'm passionate about, are the trailblazers who made the difference. Terrific. Wonderful. Oh, good. Okay, so back to the question. I was responsible for the results. You led the account with the mission. Okay, terrific. So that means you're a strong independent player. Okay, you're a strong independent player. That being said, you do need a support team around you to be able to get the work you need done. Okay, but you don't get your energy from leading the people. Okay, you don't get the energy from leading the people, but you get an energy in the people that you're getting to impact. Okay, so therefore I put you in independent, and people are what you're motivated by. Cool. So that means you can go into companies and you can absolutely train a group of people and be fully energized, and you're going to need to have beside you a really strong support team that will guide you, but you may not lead that support team very well. You'll need to have somebody who does that for you very well. You'd be a bit like Oprah. Oprah probably doesn't lead all of her people. She had Gail beside her, as I understand it. I mean, I'm not quite sure. I haven't met Oprah personally, but from what I've read and from interviews from Oprah, she has a team that leads, so she can go to the front and do what she needs to do. And she leads people in the front. In the front, she's working with people. Wonderful. Good. I'm glad that answered it for you. Great. Any other questions? Just takes a couple seconds for it to come through, so I'll wait for a couple questions and then, yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful. Good. I hope you enjoyed today's insights. Please follow what Elon's doing a bit. There's a lot to learn from what he's had to, the challenges, the mindset, the genius, That being said, what's in him is in you. So get out there and really get on a mission with what you're doing. Make your life purposeful. Make the programs, the products, the service that you offer, have it mean something. Have it mean something. Have it mean something. And you know what it means something when you lie your head upon the pillow and you wake up in the morning and you're ready to keep going. Okay. Remember, 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. Be prepared for the 99%. Terrific. Thank you all so much. It's lovely to have so many of you on the call. We had a great turnout today. It's my absolute pleasure. My absolute pleasure. If you have something that you'd like to, I'm about to, I've got a new website about to come up. And on the website as well, there's a button that says Ask Alice a Question. And if you have a question that you, I can answer it privately to you. But if you also think the question would add value to the community, please feel free to pop the question in. And it could be about anything, okay? Well, pretty much anything. Yeah, I'm happy to answer. Okay. Wonderful. Have a marvelous day. And I look forward to connecting with you. And I'm hoping as well that a few of you will have an opportunity to apply to the mentoring program. As I said, there's less than a handful of spaces, so I really would hope that you take the opportunity to look at what the mentoring program has to offer. Fill in the application, and based on your application, you'll either get a phone call from me or an email from me, one of the two, to tell you the next steps, okay? So we'd love to see you again, love to connect with you again, and I thank you so much for the time to spend with you here at lunchtime. Okay, much love to you all. Take care.